Apricot Bunny Bake Shop, and I'm going to be baking a cake today.
What kind of cake?
It's going to be an Earl Grey cake with a lemon curd filling and a honey lavender buttercream.
All right, let's get started. What's the first thing?
Okay, first thing is you're going to take all of your dry ingredients, which I have out here. I have some flour, sugar, baking powder, baking soda, and salt, and a little bit of brown sugar. Gonna mix these ingredients up a little bit just to blend them. Just to get this on there. If it's loud, I'll try to talk louder. Okay, now I also, since this is an Earl Grey tea cake, I want to add some Earl Grey tea to it. So I just ground this up really fine. Somebody wants a chunk of tea in their cake, and then I'm going to add that to the dry ingredients. And blend it just a little bit more. Okay, now we're going to take all of the wet ingredients, except for the milk, and we're going to combine those. So we have eggs and egg yolks, oil, canola oil. You want something that doesn't have a lot of flavor. Sour cream. You can also use yogurt if you want to. But I have sour cream, so I'm using sour cream. And we have some vanilla and a little bit of lecithin, which adds moisture and makes it last longer. Okay, just want to combine those a little bit. Okay, now you're going to take your butter, which is softened at room temperature, and you're going to add that to your dry ingredients first. Just plop it right in there.
Plop it.
Plop it. Okay, and you can turn that on. Not too high or it's going to go all over the place. You just want the butter to incorporate with the dry ingredients so it's kind of like a sand texture. Now, you want to add your wet ingredients. It's down so that I can better. Add all of your wet ingredients.
All at once, huh?
All at once, except for the milk. The milk's separate. Blend that up. Start out slow so you don't have a big mess. Milk has been steeped with Earl Grey tea, just so that I could get the flavor there. Slowly add it to the batter. Try not to make a mess like me. it and you're gonna scrape down the sides. It's gonna, all the butter and everything is gonna be on the bottom and the sides. Give it a good scrape. Get all the stuff that's stuck on the bottom up. And then you're gonna mix it a little bit more. You can turn it up higher now. Try to get all the lumps out, but you don't want to mix it too much. That's good. All right, we have cake batter. Now we're going to put it in our pans. Okay. Now I've already prepared 2 of the pans with butter. Just spread butter around there. And then this last one I'm going to do the flour for you. Okay, so put a little bit of flour on the buttered pan and just go around. You can see this. Kind of go around. And make sure it's all covered. And then you're going to dump out the flour. Okay, so now that the pans are all buttered and floured, I also put this baking strip around them. You can use the Wilton baking strips. That helps keep your cake from getting brown around the edges and the top from doming. I don't have any strips right now, so I'm just doing a ghetto strip. I got this from another YouTuber, and he has a really good tutorial, so I will post that down below in the description. So now that you have your cake pans, you can divide it into the cake pans, either eyeballing it, or you can do it more exact by weighing it. So we can weigh this. Make sure it's on scales on an even surface. And I have another pan here. So I'm going to another bowl. I'm going to,
It's just a pan that's very round.
yes. I'm going to tear that out so that I can weigh this, how much it weighs. So this batter is 1,114 grams. Divide that by 3, 340-ish. Close enough. So, pretty good. Okay. Now we're going to bake these, and I'll see you when I'm done. Okay, now we're going to start on the buttercream. So for the buttercream, normally I would do an Italian meringue buttercream, which is heating up syrup and then adding it to your whipped egg whites. But because I don't have a pot to do that in right now, I did a Swiss meringue buttercream, which is egg whites and sugar heated up. And the best way to test that is to stick your finger in it. It needs to be warm and no grit. And that's the best way to determine if it's ready. So we're going to start whipping that. Loud. So you want to beat this until the bowl isn't hot anymore. It needs to be basically room temperature. And then once that happens, we'll start adding the butter. So while that's going, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I don't know if they can hear you.
Okay. So now that my cakes have baked and cooled, I'm going to level them. And I already leveled the first 2. First one, my ovens got problems, so the first one I had a little bit of issue with. It was totally lopsided, but we fixed it. So you're just going to take a serrated bread knife and you're going to level the cakes. You're going to cut the top off that gets domed a little bit so they're even. And then you're going to we're going to simple syrup these cakes. I really don't need to. This is very, very moist cake. And usually you do the simple syrup for moisture, but because this is a Earl Grey tea cake, I want a little more flavor in there. So I'm gonna take this simple syrup, which is Earl Grey tea that I boiled in water for a little bit, steeped, and then added some sugar to it. So it's a Earl Grey tea simple syrup. And I don't have a squeeze bottle, so I'm just going to use a pastry brush and just brush a little bit on. Not too much because this is a very moist cake already. But if your cake is a little on the dry side and not too moist, then you can add as much as you want. Let's do the other ones. And around the edges is usually the driest part of the cake, so do more syrup in that area. A wonky cake. Okay. Now we're going to let that soak in while the buttercream is going.
It's really shaking the table.
Yeah. Now that my egg whites have been whipped and they're cooled down enough, I'm going to start adding butter. Now I'm going to not talk while I'm doing it because of course you're not going to be able to hear me, but you just add butter a little bit at a time. And don't worry, it's going to look like soup at first, but it's okay. It's very, very forgiving, but just we'll watch what's going on. Buttercream will look like it's curdling, but you just keep whipping it, and adding a little more butter, and it'll come together. So once it comes together, this is what it looks like. And then we're going to add in the flavorings. So we're going to add in a little bit of vanilla, just a little bit because this is a lavender buttercream. Some honey for the flavor because we want it to be a honey lavender. Not too much of that either, just enough for flavor. Spatula. And then just a little bit of lavender. This is lavender infusion that I made. And I don't want too much because I don't want it to break my buttercream. So we're going to mix in the vanilla and the honey. And then add just a little bit of lavender. You don't want to add too much of any liquid to it because it will break. That flavor. And I did use sugar that I added lavender flowers to kind of get the flavor of the lavender in my buttercream. So hopefully that'll add a lot of flavor to it. Just a touch more. Want my buttercream to have a really faint ivory color, like a cream color, so I'm going to add just a drop of ivory gel food coloring to it too. Make sure you don't add too much or it'll be really, really dark. Drop. Should be good. I've got my 3 layers with their simple syrup, and I've got a small cake board, turntable. I've got my lemon curd, which is what I'm going to be filling it with, and my lavender honey buttercream, which is what I'm going to be icing it with. So this is going to be 3 layers. So to start out, we're going to make a dam for the lemon curd. So you take a little bit of buttercream in a piping bag. If you're smart, which I'm not, you get bigger piping bags, like teeny tiny ones. And you don't need to have a tip in there. It can be a coupler. It can be just the cut end, and because you're just making a dam. So you just kind of want to go around the outside edge, just to have a place for so the lemon curd doesn't seep out the edges. Like that. Then you're going to take some lemon curd and put it right in the center. Not too thick of a layer, otherwise you're going to have a lot running out. Just want enough to have some flavor. Lemon curd is very strong flavor. It's very tart. Okay, thin layer. Then you're going to go for the second layer, which is this wonky layer, which I'm going to turn upside down and put right on there. And I saved this piece that was stuck in the pan, so I'm going to stick that back on with a little bit of buttercream, just so it's still the same shape. Okay, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to do another dam around the edge. And then you're going to put some lemon curd in the middle. Top of the last piece, which you're going to want to turn upside down because the bottom is flatter, just to make sure it is very flat. You're going to want to kind of get down at eye level and look at it and make sure it looks like it's straight. It looks pretty good. Okay. Now we're going to crumb coat it. Going to take some buttercream, plop it on the top. You want to spread it around. It's wobbly. Go over the edges. And on the sides. Well, this is just a crumb coat, so the cake's going to show through. Fine. Go back with another layer after. This is just to seal it in, so that when you put your second coat on, there's no crumbs showing through to the top. I guess that's why they call it a crumb coat. This doesn't have to be really super even or anything either. We'll be doing another coat.
It's a very tall cake.
Yep. That was the plan. Coat. I'm going to stick it in the fridge to chill, and then we'll come back and do the second coat. cake has chilled, and I noticed that it's leaning a little bit, but what are you gonna do? So
It's just a YouTube video. You're not selling it.
I'm gonna do the second coat of buttercream. Now, for this coat, you wanna make sure you put lots of buttercream on it because you want it to be a thick layer so that when you go around with the smoother, you get a nice, even, straight without going into the cake. So, start on top, go to the sides, just like before. And got a nice thick coat on the sides. All the way down. This takes a lot of buttercream. You'll have a lot left after. Just scrape it all off. It's smoother, but to start out, you need a big thick layer. Alright, now I have a nice big thick layer. I'm going to kind of smooth it a little bit with the spatula. Then I'm going to take the smoother. Let's get rid of this mess. Now we're going to take the smoother, and I'm going to get down here just so I can see better. And because I have a turntable that has a lip on it, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Normally your turntable is flat, but this is actually a Lazy Susan because I couldn't find a turntable. So,
One of the wonderful issues of living in Hawaii.
yeah, so this is going to be difficult. I'm going to have to try to hold it straight with the lip and hopefully not move it too much. Oh, I moved it.
Well, they're going to get the general technique of it.
Normally you hold it flush, flush with the turntable, but I can't do that. But I can see a few spots where it needs more icing. If you have holes, or you just fix them. You just put a little icing there where there's like a spot. And then you just do it again. Let's see. This is going to be a lot easier when I put an actual turntable. Then you're going to, once you get the top straight too, you should have like a little lip on the top. I'm going to go in with your spatula to get that smooth. I'll do another tutorial when I get my turntable. There, that one will be better. I have all my tools. We're going to cover the top with buttercream flour. So I'm going to put this on my beautiful stand that I just got.
Without tipping it over or messing it up.
And then I'm going to make buttercream flowers. Yeah, that's all. Oh, there we go. Got it.
Here we go, folks. You might see a cake flip.
Than before. Ooh.
Ooh.
Okay, here we go. And there we go.
Ta-da!
Now, let's clean that up and get some flowers. threw some buttercream flowers on it and a little border on the bottom. We're gonna cut this, but we're gonna try to do some photos first. So I will be back with the cake when I cut it and taste it. Okay, now we're going to cut the cake and see how it came out. Thank you for watching my video, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll leave a link to my website and social media and any links of anything I used down below in the description. Thank you for watching.